So is the backlog because of the pandemic, because they couldn't have the trials, or they were doing them remotely and it just slowed down the process?
Yeah, it's mostly the first, which is they couldn't have them for a very long time. The courts went essentially dark, starting with the advent of the COVID of the pandemic. They stayed dark. You know, I wasn't there, so I wasn't administering. You know, I don't know what was happening in the administration of the courts. I followed it in the official. You know, the presiding judge would have, you know, through the county bar would have periodic meetings to just kind of update everyone where they're at. Do I think you know, we could have done some more? I'll give you an example. I've talked at some length to the chief judge of the federal court across the street, which is Judge Dana Sabraw, happens to be the husband of the district attorney, Summer Steffen. Quite the power couple.
Yeah, really.
But Judge Sabraw told me at an event that I was at in December, so I wasn't looking at running at all. I asked him about, you know, how the federal court was doing. Now, recognize the Southern District here that he oversees, in the Southern District of California, the federal district court, is one of the most impacted courts in the country, for a lot of reasons: the border, immigration, drugs, and so forth, but and all the other things that the U.S. attorney or that the federal court handles. So it's not like it's a sleepy court. They are jammed. But he told me he brought in Wilma Wooten, who was the public health director, and said, look, we need to open these courts. And this was a few months down the road. So what do we need to do is what he asked her. And they worked on a plan and set up these federal courts to start trying cases again. And as of December, he was telling me that they're essentially have no backlog. So, you know, I don't know what more we could have done. I wasn't there, but I do know that we've got a crisis situation that was largely, I mean, of course, it was driven by the pandemic when they couldn't have it. The attempt to do Zoom trials, you know, the Zoom, I think, and I was asked this in, I think, the Union Tribune interview, or at least the questions they asked, whether I thought that Zoom, you know, or MS Teams is what they use, should stick around. I think it absolutely should. It represents efficiency for the courts, especially in the more routine matters. There's a lot of things that could be done and done quickly, which is essential. It's essential we be even more efficient now. But trials, you know, just don't work very well in the Zoom online mode. I mean, people have done them in other parts of the country. I know we've done. I think we've done some here. But they just pose so many more issues, and they're just you know, and you get beyond just the logistical issues of, you know, we talk about the need for the interplay in a trial of the lawyers with the witnesses and how the juries perceive that. And when you take it out of the courtroom and put it on a screen that people are only looking at, it just loses something. It loses that confrontation that we always talk about, that ability for both the lawyers, but certainly the jurors, to really assess the demeanor of witnesses as they testify, which is critical.
I mean, one could say it's not really a fair trial if it's not in person, because the prosecution and the defense can't make their case as effectively, both sides. Right?
I would think not.
Yeah.
You know, I won't say that those that have done trials through, you know, the internet, through Zoom or MS Teams or whatever, were they unfair? I don't think so. I don't know. I wasn't there, but I just know it loses something.
Yeah.
And then when you take jurors and take them out of the courtroom and put them on computer screens, what at home? And I mean, there's multiple stories of, you know, a juror's phone is ringing or the dog is barking. I mean, these things don't happen in the courtroom. And I think we have found, I can't speak for everyone, I think we have found that jury trials just don't work online. They have to be in person.